If you are holding anything crypto, hold it. Don't get scared. Don't allow the market to put you in a position that you're going to regret 5 to 10 years from now. Stick with your convictions and you're going to win. And everybody plays this market in their own way. So the thing that you need to figure out as a person is which way you want to play the market. So don't think that you can just encompass investing and trading all into one. And it's all one thing. It's not one thing, guys. There's two sides to that table. You have to decide which side of the table you're on. Yo, welcome to the Long and Short. Maestro here with your daily crypto TA and market analysis. On this channel, we like to give opinions on crypto news and events, give in-depth technical analysis and tutorials on how to trade the crypto markets. No matter if you're a scalper or a long-term hodler, please like if you're in the crypto fight, subscribe if you're with the vibe, share if you care, and hit the bell if you need direct mail. Let's dive right into the charts here. Everything looks fairly green on our heat map today. Pretty big pushes on Monday going into this morning. So, the New York and London markets are buying. Asia is sort of sitting still right now when it comes to being extremely bearish, which they have been over the course of the past few weeks. All right. So things are starting to even out a bit. I think that there is potential for us to push higher in regards to prices, but a lot of this depends on what the Fed does tomorrow. Okay. So everybody's walking on eggshells right now. No one really knows where the price is going to go, but we see some things on the charts that give us confidence that there may be some bullish action coming up, okay, regardless as to whatever the Fed wants to do. Quick look at the news. One particular piece of news caught my attention today in regards to Grayscale, considering Phantom, Algorand, and a number of other different cryptos for its investment products. So if you don't know who Grayscale is, they're an asset management company who help institutions and larger investors gain exposure to crypto. They're sort of the middleman, okay? So what are they looking at? Well, there are a number of different tokens that they added to their list. So 25 more tokens, including layer 1 chains, metaverse applications, blockchain games have been added to the list. The crypto asset management company updated its list of assets under consideration Monday, adding 25 more tokens. New additions bring the total number of assets on Grayscale's radar to 43. Several alternative layer 1 blockchain tokens such as Algorand, Eldorado, Phantom, Helium, Holochain, Oasis Network, and Secret Network. In regards to the metaverse and blockchain gaming, they have AAVE, Axie Infinity, Bora, Engine, Gala Games, The Sandbox, and Yield Guild Games. And then they are also looking into more DeFi, Web3, Internet of Things. Coins like Bancor, BitTorrent, Convex, Decred, Gelato, IOTA, Spell, Stacks, Universal Market Access, and VeChain. They have the full list on their website. So these are coins that you may want to take a look at to essentially front run Grayscale, get into positions before they take positions in them, because I'm assuming that their positions will be pretty large and you can see some gains in regards to that. Be on the lookout. When it comes to the crypto fear and greed index, we ticked down 1 to number 12. So again, this really isn't anything that we use for trading, but it is a sentiment judge. You can go on Twitter right now and tell that most people are negative about crypto. You can go on Instagram. It's the same nonsense there. So the fear and greed index is sort of a good gauge in regards to sentiment. Most people are pretty fearful right now. And I think a lot of this has to do with the recently dropping prices and what may happen with the Fed and the broader economy when it comes to things, right? Because crypto is part of the broader economy, the world economy. Being that it's a worldwide asset class, we have to be aware of things that are happening across the world, and that this fear and greed index can be from a number of different things, not just what the Fed is going to do. All right, let's take a look at Bitcoin futures. When it comes to our futures charts here, looks like everything is still swinging under the 13 EMA. Again, this is a daily contract 9-month outlook. All right, so as long as we're trading under that EMA, things should continue to move a bit bearish, but I think we may be starting to find a bit of a floor here somewhere around 33. 33 is a very important number. It's essentially the last area of imbalance from that previous price move up. And we're going to show this on the chart and how price essentially just snatched that area and made a V-shaped recovery out of it, right? Which is very strong in regards to bullish movement. But we're not sure if this is actually going to continue, all right? A few reasons why. If we look at open interest, it's actually starting to fall a bit. Also on the COT, large speculators and small speculators continue to be opposed. Smaller speculators are starting to swing more short. Larger speculators are also swinging short, and commercials are sitting on the zero line. When it comes to who has control of the market, the bears still have pretty firm control of the market. They are able to push prices down. The buyers are still sort of walking on eggshells. And for the most part, they are not jumping in with very large positions, which allows the sellers to maintain control of the market. When it comes to money flow, things are starting to even out a bit, but I would argue that was some money that came into the market today. For sure, we did have a couple of nice pushes on Monday going into this week. Now, this is the one thing I know about the crypto markets. Usually whatever happens in the beginning of the week, chances are it's going to be a bit different by the end of the week. So even if we do get a nice push off of Fed news, you may get a bit of a retracement from that, okay? Be aware of these fake outs, guys. They do happen in the market and they will catch you off guard. When it comes to momentum, starting to swing down, PVT down, OBV down, but starting to look like they want to angle up more into more bullish positions. And there has been a ton of accumulation over the past couple of days. All right, so this is what we're seeing on futures here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the actual charts. Okay, so there's a few areas that we want to outline here on TradingView, and then we'll actually jump into Trading Light so that we can get an idea of where some of the support and resistance is going to come in for Bitcoin and a number of other altcoins. All right, so a couple of things that we want to point out here. All of these gray areas are areas of imbalance. So we always say that price is always seeking something, right? It's either going to be seeking for liquidity or seeking to refill imbalances in price. So what we are looking at here is the price movement over the past few days, everything since January 21st. Okay, so this is about 4 days of price action. Now, we all remember the experience of watching this big candle come down, right at the end of New York on the 21st. Okay, and then we flew into this range. And so this area here of imbalance goes all the way back to the previous run that started in September. Okay, so this area was filled. We said previously in previous videos that price would come down or try to come down and fill these areas if it was to break below 40K. This is exactly where it came, consolidated, and then it reached down into the last area of imbalance, but it didn't quite fill it all. And this goes all the way back again to that area back in September. Directly below this, we have that order block. So if we zoom out on this a bit, we'll be able to see where these actual imbalances were, right? So you had the first one here. This was the area that we circled off. We said if it broke below this, it would come to this imbalance. Price essentially came here, continued to consolidate. We said the next one that we would have to worry about is down here. That's where price went, boom, before it turned around, okay? So these areas of imbalance, these two here, were two important areas of support for price to bounce off of. First consolidate in, then bounce off of, okay? So the question is now, is what's going to happen next? Let's go back down to our hourly chart. All right, so once we get back into the 1 hour chart, there's a couple of things that we want to pay attention to. Currently, price is starting to set two equal highs here, right in the previous imbalance zone that it left when it had its first big drop, okay? So we want to watch how price may either consolidate, break through, or sort of return back to this range here. Going into Wednesday, I'm going to sit on my hands and I'm going to see. If price does turn bullish again, then you can expect it to go for all of these levels of liquidity to the top side here, sort of break back through this area of imbalance and fall right back into the previous range that it was trading in before, okay? That would not be a bad thing to see. It will give us some bullish vibes. The only thing I will be concerned about, though, is if we break back below this area, okay? So if price were to come up here, break back below this area, that means we could see a lot more bearish activity moving down into this next order block here, which is around what? The 30K level. If we're in a bear market, these are the type of things that we're going to see. You're going to see some bullish retracements back to levels that you were previously holding. But if we sort of break this out into more of a bearish perspective, you have an order block here, right? Nice push up right before a hard crash down. So if price is going to be continuing on bear type of movements, it may push itself up to around 40K, a little bit higher. And then it'll come right back down, guys. If we're in a bear market, that will be the price action that we see. If we're in a bullish market, right, we said that we wanted to see price come down and take out these levels before we felt confident that price was able to go on a bullish trend. If we are still in a bull market, this was the bottom. There's no real reason for us to go back into this order block here at 30K. People had more than enough time to accumulate in this area before they pushed it up. And chances are institutions are going to protect this level sort of with everything that they have in order to keep the price elevated here to continue to push higher. This area is very important. When we come back into this area, whether or not we break out of here or back down will depend on what the Feds are starting to do. So this will take time to play out. All of this movement in price that we're anticipating, that we're looking for, it's going to take some time to play out. So we need to watch. We need to be patient. And you can take short-term trades. Swing trades are available. Definitely scalps are available once we start to trade and define this range a bit more. But right now, I think price is starting to seek lower levels, essentially because there are additional areas of imbalance here for it to come back to, and areas of liquidity for it to take that are sort of even here, right? So we know this as well. Whenever price sets even levels of liquidity, it likes to revisit those levels, okay? Even if it were just for a retracement for a move higher. So these are the things that we're looking for in price. All right, so let's take a look at the heat map. Bitcoin is first. All right, Bitcoin is starting to come down a bit, guys. And we said that things may start to get rejected here because you already sort of set a top. Here goes the second top. That creates your double top. And that's sort of the top of the range that price may fit in for the next couple of hours, next few hours, until we really figure out what's happening tomorrow. Okay, now 38 seems to be the level of resistance at this point. And if there's a level of support, it's starting to come in somewhere around 34. Not very much more in the middle here, with the exception of maybe 35, where price may be supported at here. So you may start to swing into a range. Okay, light orders here, not very much on the order books for Bitcoin. So price may fall here, but it's only going to fall but so far, maybe to 35, 34, before it starts to turn around a bit and some more orders come in. What we need to worry about, though, always are the Asian hours, right? How hard does Asia dump is always the question, because they're never really buying very much. If they are buying, they're setting traders up for the dump. That's what we recognize in Asia price characteristics at the moment. But I don't think the buyers have enough strength to push it up above 38 today. So you may get stuck in this range between 38, maybe 35, 34. Okay, these are where the orders are sitting. And I'm thinking that price is just going to retrace some of this upward movement that it's had since the earlier part of the day. We also have to be aware of what's happening in Asia. But as you can see, if we sort of zoom in here, price isn't really being trapped or pushed either way. But there are some orders that are starting to line up, but not a ton, right? Trading is starting to slow down for the day in New York. All right, so for Bitcoin, I would say that we'll probably get squeezed for the day somewhere between the range of 38 and 34 or 35, with the anticipation of what's going to happen tomorrow with the Fed. Not a ton of activity, but as you can see, price is going to try to retrace some of this, maybe down to some of this imbalance area that you see here, which does sit essentially between 34 and 35, right? Price does like to revisit these areas, so we can anticipate that. Okay, moving into XRP. XRP has a pretty solid level of orders, about 1.1 million, sitting right here at around 59 cents. Okay, so if XRP were to come back down, I expect a pretty decent bounce. Not a lot to catch it to the upside, so we're looking for those levels there. But XRP, we're also expecting to sort of swing within this type of range here until we get more news on what the Fed is going to do. Also, we're waiting to see what the judge is going to say in this SEC lawsuit for XRP. So hopefully XRP does have a pretty bright future. The prices are down on the overall macro. So we can say that XRP is in a discounted zone, and I would say that it is a pretty good buy at this point. Okay, when it comes to Ethereum price seems to be getting squeezed a lot more than Bitcoin here, with levels of resistance set at around 25.30 and some pretty strong support at two different levels here around 2300. Okay, so Ethereum again also sort of swinging within a range, but very similar price characteristics to Bitcoin. Even if we were to come down to around 2200, I think we're still in pretty good shape. And you do have a small imbalance sitting here, which is right essentially where that price would bounce from, right? Do you guys see what we're saying about imbalances and how the price levels that people want to get back in at are right in the areas where price moved aggressively and created that imbalance? Okay, so we saw it on Bitcoin, we saw it on Ethereum. I'm pretty sure we can find it in a number of other places, but this is why what we see in TradingView will translate to real orders and real movement in price when it comes to imbalances and liquidity, right? Because if we look here, most of these orders here at the top, okay, these are liquidity levels, guys. These are areas where stop losses are being placed and things like that. So prices, wants to go here to grab this liquidity and then reverse from it. So these are the things that we look for that translate from the charts to the heat map that we can make comparisons to and for to make decisions. All right. So Ethereum is going to sit here maybe between 25.3 and let's say 2300 to 2200. Okay. That'll be your area to look for ETH for today. All right, taking a look at Cardano. Cardano has a number of different resistance levels set up here. Now, these are the things that we're talking about when it comes to Cardano, right? Who's setting orders like this, guys? And why are they trying to push this price down like this? Now, you also have some resistance here as well. Who knows? These could be buy orders for Cardano, but typically your buy orders are going to be near the lower areas of price. Most people don't buy breakouts. Professional traders don't buy breakouts. Institutions don't buy breakouts. Only retail traders buy breakouts, guys. Okay, so remember this, write this down in your book. If anyone teaches you how to trade breakouts of support and resistance, they're teaching you the wrong thing. All of these orders here, the majority of them are short orders. There's a wall set up here. Now you also have some pretty good areas of floor here set up as well, right around 95 cents, which is what we pointed out yesterday. Price is also sharing some characteristics with Bitcoin and Ethereum, but the pushes up are not as strong. So if Bitcoin and Ethereum fall, we can expect Cardano to start to try to visit some of these levels here as well, okay? Because the pushes up were not as strong as the ones for Ethereum and Bitcoin, okay? They sort of reached equal high levels here, and Cardano wasn't able to do it. But again, this is a larger range, and if we sort of scroll out to the macro view, everything is down for Cardano. This is very concerning. I wouldn't necessarily be taking any long positions on Cardano right now based on what we see in the current order book. Okay, AVAX price action does seem to be moving pretty aggressive, and it is starting to break out areas. Now, this area of imbalance seems to be filled right here. You can draw this straight line across here, right? So candle wick here, all the way across. We can see that that imbalance was filled to the top side there. So price does have the right to come back down. It sort of fulfilled all of its obligations, taking the liquidity to the top side, grab the imbalance there. Now it could probably reverse, right? So it's sort of following all of the characteristics of the general market. In regards to crypto, things are starting to find the top and reverse. All right, now we're seeing this wall here set up. Okay, now this wall provided a deterrent for price to sort of bounce from. And it did sort of ease up a bit, and it did get a little lighter. Okay, so they're starting to drop some of those orders off of the books here. So depending on what happens with Bitcoin, you know, you may start to see some more downwards price movement in regards to this particular area here. And there is a small imbalance for price to go get, but there's not a lot of orders placed here for AVAX. I think that actually they may go for these equal lows if in fact price were to try to fall some more. Okay, taking a look at MATIC, you do have a level of resistance set up about 180 and a level of support set at about 140. The next higher level of support is set at about 130, so 10-cent increments there. I'm sure if we were to bring up more of the heat map, we'll see a few more levels that pop out. But $1.54, $1.50, $1.58. This is where your price may be pretty much squeezed between at the current moment, because you're starting to get some pretty large orders set up here. Okay, so when it comes to MATIC, again, everything's still in the range. Everything anticipating what's going to happen with the Fed, but we are sort of in a more macro downwards movement, but there's a floor that's starting to be established here. We're thinking somewhere around $1.30 is where you're going to start to see those orders really kick in. Your cluster starts to get a bit more thick, somewhere around $1.11, which is what we pointed out yesterday for MATIC. Okay, when it comes to Solana, again, moving within a trend here, but Solana is being squeezed a bit tighter. There's a level of resistance right at about $100 that is pushing Solana back down. There are really no areas of imbalance, so we're expecting that this price may be held up a bit more. We're starting to see some support around the $86 level, as well as the $85 level. So you may see a pretty substantial swing in Solana over the course of the next couple of days, but we'll see, right? I think, again, going back to what the Fed's going to do, this does have some sort of impact on what will happen with prices over the next couple of days. So we're anticipating that things will continue to stay in these ranges, stuck between these price areas. If price were to fall some more, there's a pretty substantial floor being set up right around $50 for Solana. Okay, another thick level of price right around 60. I don't think that there'll be enough sellers to really push this price all the way down, unless there's some sort of really catastrophic event that happens with Solana, which may not be off the table when it comes to them, right? But lots of orders below to kind of support this price here. That's what we're expecting for Solana. Not a lot at the top to push it down. Looking at Cosmos, which is another coin that we think Grayscale was also taking a look at. There is some resistance here at the top, right, guys? So there is some things that may want to push this price back down. As you can see, we've been getting rejected off of these orders here at the top. Okay, so all day, Adam has really been fighting to break above these levels, and they just keep getting shorted right down at around $37. Okay, so where are the levels of support? Well, they're starting to line up right here around 34. So it's getting really squeezed inside this very tight range, okay? But if we were to break below these levels, there's not very much more to catch it below this, okay? So this resistance may win out when it comes to Cosmos, okay? I wouldn't necessarily think that this is anything other than manipulation, especially if there's good news about Atom that's been coming out recently, right? So these are the things that the order book helps give you insight into. The first real level of support starts to seem to be forming right around 32 bucks for Cosmos. You also have some orders that were sort of put up but taken off here right around 33. All right, so I would look for these levels if price were to break below these levels that is currently trading at around 35. I want to start to look for 33, 32. If it were to break that, then 30 seems to be your final level of real confluence until you get into the 20s. Look for price to also get squeezed here. It's been currently getting squeezed. There really are no imbalances for price to come back to clean up. So this price action to me is really sitting also in anticipation of what's going to happen for tomorrow. All right, taking a look at Polkadot. Polkadot showing some very strong support. Okay, lots of big clusters here. And these are the type of things that you want to see for cryptos if you're thinking about getting into them. These are still fairly decent levels to catch if price were to fall back down to, I would say, anywhere under 17 bucks when it comes to Polkadot. Okay, probably your best buys there because there is a lot of support. If price were to come back down into these areas, it should bounce the same way that it did here. You see when it met the support there and it continued up higher. So we think that Polkadot definitely has a lot of strength below it. There are some resistance areas that are starting to form, but nowhere near as strong as the support here for Polkadot. So be on the lookout for that. But again, we're starting to create tons of equal highs here, guys, right? Equal high, equal high, equal high, equal high, equal high here. As long as it's doing that, we're in a range. Okay, so if price is coming down from these levels, all right, if the buyers are giving up at this point, it comes back down here, you know they're going to kick back in. This is where you're able to catch your scalps. This is where you're able to catch your very sweet swing trades. All right, looking at Terra Luna. Terra Luna also seems to be getting sandwiched in. There is also quite a bit of resistance directly to the top here. As you can see, price every time it comes up here, it does get pushed back down, but there are tons of level of support here. Okay, really big clusters here right around 50 to 60 range and a little bit deeper into the 50 to 40 range, but tons of support for Luna. Okay, there are tons of orders just sitting here waiting to be executed when it comes to Terra Luna. But right now the price seems to be getting squeezed and really compacted in price action. When things like this happen, we can expect a breakout, but one side is going to have to break out and sort of get out of the way of the other for price to really move here. All right, if we take a look at the graph, very similar situation, right? Lots of movement to squeeze the price sort of in these areas here. So wherever there's a buyer, there's a seller. That's what's happening when you're seeing this type of price action and this type of heat map. All right, so they're essentially just meeting in the middle, right at around 40 cents. Now, if price were to break below these levels, it would find some sort of support, maybe around 35 cents. And the first level of resistance is coming in somewhere around 45 cents. Okay, so 10-cent range for the graph. I would think that you do want to sort of play this on a more macro perspective. We said that the graph is definitely trading at a discount at this point at these lower levels here. If we zoom out, this is definitely at the lower levels of price. Good areas of accumulation probably within this range here. As you can see, price is sort of getting sandwiched and squeezed in. And if it were to drop, there are some levels of support that could catch it to push it back up. Also, there's not a lot of resistance at the top here until you get to levels like 45 and maybe even 50 cents. All right, taking a look at Chainlink. Chainlink also sort of being squeezed with the current price action. There is pretty large levels of support set up really anywhere below $14 here. So you have a cluster here, couple of clusters here at around 11 and 10 bucks respectively, and you do have a line here at around $11 or $12. Okay, so lots of support below for Link, not a lot above it to stop it if price were to rally. So I think if anything were to kick in where you really see bullish price movement, Chainlink is one that's going to move exponentially well. There's really no one here to sell it at these levels above until you get to maybe around 26 bucks. Okay, and that's a lighter level, but as you can see, there's really no one up here that's willing to sell Chainlink if it were to go on a run. Okay, so these are the things that we can also tell by the heat map, you know, from a larger perspective, where these orders are starting to come off at. Okay, and if the fact is that if they really wanted to sell it, they would sort of just move these orders down here. Okay, but they didn't. They sort of left an open sky. And so if I see this on an order book, I'm thinking Chainlink has some area to run if in fact we do start to go more into bullish territory. Okay, this may be one of your faster runners in the crypto market. Okay, AVE, I know that these charts are kind of hard to look at when you guys see these heat maps like this. Also being squeezed, right? You have a lot of orders just executing right at the execution point here, right? Market orders coming in for buys, market orders coming in for sells, right at these levels here, right? So being squeezed at 152, your first level of real support's coming in at 130. And if we zoom out a bit, there are, again, lots of clusters, and this is what we want to see in regards to support, right? Again, these prices, they're not really moving their floors, and that's a good thing. Once AVE does break out, the first area of resistance that you're going to see is maybe around 173, 174. Okay. But after that, man, there's not a lot to really hold it back. So AVE could definitely go on a run again. This is one that we think does have some very big potential to run moving forward here. You do have lots of support, and your clusters are really starting to form up more around the $100 level, right around 105 and a little bit lower than that. All right, so let's go ahead and close out with the last sort of final words. If you are holding anything crypto, hold it. Don't get scared. Don't allow the market to put you in a position that you're going to regret 5 to 10 years from now. Because if you're playing that long-term hodler game, the current price of Bitcoin does not matter at all. Hold strong, stick with your convictions, and you're going to win. That's the name of this game, guys. And that's the name of long-term investing. When you're trading like me and like a few other folks that we know, right? These price swings, they're like butter and gold to us because we play the price up or down. It doesn't really matter what happens, right? So this volatility is perfect in the crypto market, which is why traders trade it, right? The folks who effectively can, they end up coming out on top, and you don't have to necessarily wait for things to materialize in the market for you. Right? You don't have to worry about where you're getting into position. And everybody plays this market in their own way. So the thing that you need to figure out as a person is which way you want to play the market. Do you want to be a long-term hodler? If so, then your thought process is a lot different than a person who's trading, scalping, or doing any type of short-term, in and out type of trading. Your thought process is way different. Your conversations are way different. The people you associate with when it comes to advice should be way different, okay? We can't generalize investments. Traders, we move a certain way. We think a certain way. We do a certain thing. Investors, they move a certain way, think a certain way, do different things, okay? And there are some ways inverse to each other. So don't think that you can just encompass investing and trading all into one, and it's all one thing. It's not one thing, guys. There's two sides to that table. You have to decide which side of the table you're on. Sit down and learn that side. And eventually, if you want to come to the other side, that's perfectly fine, right? You have one side down, come to the other side. Then you got the game mastered. But we shouldn't be under the impression that people who have investment goals as investors, long-term investors, have the actual same outcome and outlook that short-term traders do. Let's draw the line here. You should draw the line for yourself and figure out which side of that table you want to be on first. And we're catering to both sides. We want to show people from the long-term perspective as well as the short-term perspective how to take advantage of this market, because there's opportunity every day, every single day. Okay, guys, this is the example of the opportunity. Let's go into this chart. Ever since we started this channel, what have we preached? Imbalance and liquidity. Do you know what the opportunity is currently? Well, short, right? Because you did come up here to fill this imbalance. You set the equal high. Now, in order for price to really structure itself, it's going to have to go lower in order to fill this imbalance here. Let's see if it happens on the price charts, guys, right? We said imbalances could take 1 day to fill, 1 hour to fill. They can take 6 months to fill. And we can see all three levels of imbalances pretty much right here in price, right? So you have one imbalance here that took place on the 21st. Price came to fill that while creating what? Other imbalances. The area where price was consolidating was a previous imbalance from what? September, right? Also, the imbalance below that was a previous imbalance from what? September. So we came to this level, consolidated, came to this level, created an imbalance, filled an imbalance, came back down, created a double top so that we can show a range, created another imbalance. And these are the areas that people just don't pay attention to, because what are they saying? Oh, we have support. Oh, we have resistance. Price is going to go down here. So they overlook the important levels in price where things may actually happen. And this is what we're teaching. No matter what it is, short term, long term, we're going to show you where the plays may be. Okay, guys? So if you're looking for this type of TA, this level of TA, not just a bunch of lines and that get adjusted, by the way, to make their predictions correct. We're not going to get into that today. But what I'm saying is this. Anybody could draw a line. Anybody can look and see, oh, we're in a downtrend. Let me draw a line from the top part to the bottom part of the trend. Oh, look at how these things touch it. Anybody can do that, guys. But can you tell me where price is going to turn around? Can you tell me why it's going to turn around in specific areas and tight little ranges like this? I don't know this stuff ahead of time. I just allow price to tell me where it is, which is why we don't use trend lines and a lot of other things, but we'll discuss that at a later time. All right, before this video gets too long, it's your boy Maestro. Thanks for tuning in. It is the long and short. We thank you for your time, and we thank you for your subscription. We thank you for the like and the hits of the bell. We thank you for everything, guys. We appreciate you. We love you. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, it's your boy Maestro. This is the long and short. Salute.